Siskel and Ebert review gambler Matt Dillon and chorus girl Madonna in the gangster spoof Bloodhounds of Broadway. Financial trader Rebecca De Mornay mixes work and love in the drama Dealers. And an executed killer finds new life through TV in Shocker. It's all coming up next on Siskel and Ebert.
Madonna and Randy Quaid are Prohibition-era party animals in Bloodhounds of Broadway, one of 5 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, and I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Our first film is Bloodhounds of Broadway, the promising movie homage to films of the 30s that fails completely, however, to tell a good story or really honor those old-style films. Rather, Bloodhounds comes across as a dress-up time for a bunch of celebrities. The time is New Year's Eve, 1929, the Jazz Age, the Flapper era, and among the many stories told here is the strained romance between chronic gambling loser Matt Dillon and showgirl Jennifer Grey.
Can I buy you a drink?
No, you may not. They're free regret.
I know. I was just being polite.
A polite man calls a girl after he spends the night with her.
Another bit of unrequited love involves another showgirl, played by Madonna, who often rejects the constant attention of her good-hearted, oafish friend, Randy Quaid.
Listen, brother, I've been around the block a few times, and I heard every line in the book, and you're not playing fair.
Among the hangers-on in the Broadway nightclub scene here is Esai Morales, trying to make time with a flapper.
And don't bother to follow me.
That's Julie Haggerty there with the distinctive nasal voice. The tone of the whole film is aggressively colorful in the style of the Ford Damon Runyon stories that inspired it, but it's always hard to try to pull so many stories together, and it certainly doesn't work here. The filmmakers, I think, should have concentrated on just one, perhaps. As a result, we count the stars, we look at their clothes, and we remain profoundly bored.
I found the movie extremely boring, and one of the reasons it was boring was that everybody on the screen seemed to be excited about a joke that they hadn't let me in on. One of the things that the 30s movies always did was make it very clear to the audience where you stood, what the story was about, and how it was going to be told. This doesn't mean it didn't have style. They had great style in the 30s, but they also had clarity. This film is style without clarity, and so it's just a lot of sound and fury.
The style of the 30s films really didn't have to do with what they clothes that people were wearing. It had to do with a pacing, with an energy in the camera movements, and a crispness in the dialogue. And this film went for the most easy thing to do, just buy the 30s look, the clothes.
You know, I like your line where you call them, where you call the movie dress-up time for celebrities, because the movie that this one could be compared to, and unfortunately wouldn't stand up, is Guys and Dolls. Now, Guys and Dolls is also a musical based on Damon Runyon with famous people in it. People as famous when it was made as Madonna is now. People like Marlon Brando, for example. But the difference is in Guys and Dolls, the actors really did deliver performances. They believed in those characters. And here, it all seems like a lark for these actors, as if they're having fun being in a 30s movie and wearing the hats and smoking the cigarettes.
The other thing is
that doesn't work.
The other thing, Guys and Dolls had a great musical score. This one is forgettable.
That is also quite true. Okay, next movie, and our next movie is named Dealers. It's sort of a cross between a love story and a thriller about high finance. We've seen the formula for this movie maybe once or twice before. It's about a man and a woman who can't stand one another, so of course they're assigned to work together, and so of course they disagree violently all of the time until, what do you know, they fall in love. The movie stars Paul McGann as an aggressive young trader at a London financial institution that has just been forced to eat a $100 million loss. His bosses hope he can win the money back, but they're afraid of his reckless style, so they team him up with the much more conservative Rebecca De Mornay.
Look,
You're going to be all year digging yourself out of this position unless you commit yourself to some major move.
I don't like the risk.
What's risky about this?
It's Max on one of your spectacular deals.
It worked!
It's a damn heat-seeking missile.
Of course, they have radically different approaches to the money markets, and of course, they discuss them over a candlelit dinner.
Well, I might take a dive now and again, but I always bring it back. Every quarter, I'm never less than even. Last return showed I made $3 million for the book in a 9-week stretch. Take a look.
I did take a look. I read every major deal you've made over the past 24 months. And I know that you're dangerous.
McGann lives on a luxurious country estate where he's providing a temporary home for his old mentor, now a broken-down and bankrupt ex-trader who is played here by Derek O'Connor.
You've got GMP figures coming in a couple of days. Market's going to get a boost. Double your position. Tough it out.
It's another 100 million. She'll never buy it.
Doesn't have to know, does she?
A crisis arrives when de Mornay discovers that the man she loves has positioned the company out at the end of a very long limb.
What are you going to do?
I think we should go with it. I mean, if Pasco's right, we can clean out this position. Now, if he's wrong...
Now, even though the formula of dealers is familiar, the man and the woman argue themselves right into each other's arms, there was a lot in this movie that was perceptive and intelligent, and it also had a lot of style. I like the way Rebecca de Mornay showed how her character kept a steel wall between her heart and her business sense. I like the hard-edged brassiness of Paul McGann, an actor I saw for the first time at Withnail and I, and I appreciated the subplot about a broken-down older trader, which helped to put everything into perspective. You're going to be rich today, but you've also got to think about tomorrow. This may not be an amazingly original movie, but it's a smart one, and I liked it.
Boy, you swung totally around in your review. You start out knocking one thing after another, and then you come back and you say you like it.
I didn't knock, I just recognized. I just said, I recognize this, I recognize that in terms of the formula. But you know, formulas can be done well or badly.
Right.
Bloodhounds of Broadway is bad formula. This is good formula.
Not in my opinion. I mean, it is formula, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, gee, the English can do this kind of bad formula film as badly as Americans can do. And I was really disappointed because I thought that there might be a harder edge to this story. It's something that people, I think, are interested in. Wall Street was, to my mind, that film was a little bit too glamorous. And I think that there could be a really interesting picture that had a real heart of darkness to it. This isn't it, and I was hoping for it. Instead, it goes for traditional things like the romance between people who wouldn't have one, and the obvious thing that happens to the old guy. I mean, you know that, Roger. As soon as you see him for the first time, you know what's his fate is going to be. He's going to go down for the count. I mean...
Well, I knew that, but of course, at the same time, the pathos of the performance kind of redeemed that. I felt that that this was a believable character, a person who, you know, he used to be a cook, then he got into finance, he made it to the top, he made it back to the bottom again. Now I might open a restaurant. This was the kind of detail that interested me.
Wouldn't you be interested, though, in a picture that took you into this world of high finance where a lot of people think this whole world is worthless and is cause for financial disruptions that are going on in the world right now? Wouldn't it be interesting if a picture told you something you didn't know? And you must know, as a journalist, you know, that there's stuff that you don't know that you'd be fascinated by.
Obviously, I'd like to see that picture. Wouldn't you like to see the greatest picture ever made right now for the next 2 hours? Of course you would. I'm reviewing the movie that was made. Yeah. I liked it. I didn't think it was the greatest movie ever made, but for you to ask a question like that hypothetically is meaningless.
No, I'm just saying I'm revealing to you what that picture, and particularly with an English cast in the international world, I thought it could have been there, and it wasn't there.
It came to me as a blinding revelation. Anyway, coming up next, Shocker, another story of a mass murderer who will not die, from the creator of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Curtis dead, John. Go home, get drunk or something. I don't think he's dead.
Our next film is called Shocker, written and directed by Wes Craven, a creator of Nightmare on Elm Street. You may have seen the ads. It's about a mass killer who can't even be put away by the electric chair, while a college student and his policeman father, Michael Murphy, track the killer to his warehouse home using the kid's ESP.
But you said he was here. I thought he was. Keep dreaming, Lieutenant.
The father is skeptical of the kid's powers, so the young man, played by Peter Berg, is left to work on his own, and he quickly confronts the killer in action. The killer's been energized by his bout with the electric chair.
You want to watch?
Jonathan, do something!
Shut up! You want to watch? Watch this. Get him out of here! Come on!
After his girlfriend has been brutally murdered by the creep, our young hero has dreams involving her spirit. If Shocker weren't so bloody in spots, I would recommend it as an inventive thriller because the way it treats video images and electrical conduction is most entertaining. The killer hops from one body to another and is ultimately the casualty of a TV remote control device. But because of the extreme violence and some questionable scenes involving a little girl invaded by the spirit of the killer, I can only give Shocker a marginal thumbs up. I enjoyed it, but with some reservations.
I can't give it a thumbs up, Gene. I felt it would have been a better movie if it had played with more rules. I wanted to know exactly how it was that this guy got out of the electric chair and into the electrical system so that he could come out of the television set and zap you. And I wanted to find out why it was that the remote control device controlled him. I didn't understand that. And I feel that in a movie like this, if anything could happen, then you don't really care what happens. The movie was all over the map, including, incidentally, a very confusing performance by Michael Murphy as the kid's father. Now, Murphy's a great actor. He was in An Unmarried Woman 10 years ago. It's a movie since then, for that matter. But here, they keep sending you signals about this character that are never followed through on. He's hostile at one moment. He doesn't understand the next moment.
You know why he's hostile at one moment?
Why?
Because his spirit has been invaded by the killer.
Well, I figured that out. Thanks a lot. Yeah,
okay.
I got that one. But I'm talking about the rest of the time.
Well, I mean, the guy is doubting, it's an adoptive situation. He's doubting the kid's veracity when he's claiming that he can spot the killer. The kid is threatening to solve a case that the guy can't solve himself. I think that's all explainable. As for the business of how he becomes an electrical conduit, that's shown by the fact that, well, I mean, he gets jolted with all the juice. He's, in effect, praying to the spirit of the television set, which I thought was fabulous. The television set is something evil. I think that's great. I always enjoy that kind of story. I liked it. Oh, you
I'm going to turn on my VCR and record your explanation, making sense of how this guy becomes an electrical current, because you've explained it now, and now I understand it.
Good.
It all makes sense now.
Good. Are you serious?
No, I'm not exactly.
Why not?
I mean, because I think that they have to set up at least some kind of pseudo-scientific explanation of it.
They did set up a very pseudo.
Okay, he's electrocuted,
it's a horror film.
And he goes into the electrical wire. Is that what happened? And then he prays to the TV set, and that's how
he prays to the TV. You saw him in the jail cell.
That's right. He prays to the TV set, and the TV set rescues him from the electric chair. I'm glad you cleared that up.
Yeah.
Coming up next, my left foot.
I'm glad you enjoyed my performance. It was more than the movie.
My Left Foot is definitely coming up next. The story of a gifted painter, poet, and writer who can communicate with the world only through the muscles of one foot.
This is Christy Brown, my son. Genius.
My Left Foot, and it stars Daniel Day-Lewis in the true story of a remarkable Irishman named Christy Brown, who came into the world with a series of birth defects that made it impossible for him to control his body or his speech, all except for his left foot. Brown was born into a large family of 13 children, but his father was damned if he'd let his child be taken off to an institution.
Are you going to put him in a home, Paddy? He'll go in a coffin before any son of mine go in a home.
Christy Brown's mother always makes sure her child is placed at the center of family life, and one day, when Christy is 9, he rewards her love with an astonishing demonstration. That's Hugh O'Connor playing the young Christy. Daniel Day-Lewis takes over the role from adolescence on, showing how Christy's handicaps did not prevent him from a first-hand experience of Dublin street life.
Save Christy!
Well saved, Christy!
As an adult, Christy Brown becomes an accomplished painter, poet, and autobiographer. But Christy's life is not without tragedies, and one of them is his alcoholism. There might be a temptation to assume that My Left Foot is going to be a depressing movie, or worse still, one of those relentlessly uplifting TV Disease of the Week docudramas. But actually, this is an enormously entertaining and absorbing movie filled with a lot of humor and also with all of the passion and anger and fierce determination that this little man, Christy Brown, brought to the business of living. It's amazing how well the two actors, Hugh O'Connor and Daniel Day-Lewis, bring this character to life and how they make it easy for us to see the world through his eyes. this is one of the year's finest films.
Well, it caught me by surprise. I think it's really excellent and most entertaining. It is not depressing, and it's not the false, uplifting message kind of picture. It is more on the style of a documentary because the guy is allowed to be fully passionate. You said that he rewards his mother as a child. He really isn't rewarding his mother. What we learn is that this kid is a bright person mentally, but just can't express anything in a normal fashion. And so you feel the rage inside of him, which is he's tried to answer earlier a question of mathematics and he couldn't draw well enough. He finally is able to draw. So he isn't really rewarding. It isn't that conventional kind of emotional thing because mom is good to him. No. He makes himself known. It is
but what he does is he rewards her patience because she kept him right there. She talked to him. She loved him. She included him because she knew. She could see in his eyes, she says, that he knew what was going on, even though everybody outside the family was willing to say he was a vegetable.
Her role, the parental role here, is a wonderful...
Great performance.
They're great models of behavior. That's what's so fascinating. You have a real spirit trying to make himself known, which is the adolescent story always, no matter what your physical situation is, and you have parents who are smart enough to include somebody in the family situation and not to cast them out.
You know, I'm not really sure that the real Christy Brown could speak as clearly as the character in this movie, but in a way, I'm glad that they let him do that because right at the beginning of the movie, there's a scene that takes the curse off the whole film. And that's when he asked that nurse for a light, and she says, do you think you should be smoking? And he says, I didn't ask for a lecture, I asked for a light, using a few vulgarities that I won't use on television. That breaks the ice. The audience laughs, and from that point on, we're with Christy Brown all the way.
Well, we're seeing a real person rather than a made-up drama, and it's very strong. And Daniel Day-Lewis and Hugh O'Connor as the little boy, I mean, they're just spectacular. These are great performances.
I wonder how could you give a double Academy Award nomination for two people playing the same role?
Well, I think one would be the boy would be supporting because it's such a small role, but spectacular. Coming up next, another more comic story of the frantic world of financial futures trading. This one's called Limit Up, which takes place in the world of Chicago soybean traders.
Oh, yeah? You're so smart, big shot. Sell me 25 contracts. Come on, what do you got to lose?
Limit Up is The Waste of a Good Idea, a film about the wild world of soybean traders at Chicago's Board of Trade. Now, never mind it's been relatively quiet in the soybean pit the last few years. It's a potentially fascinating place with all those people frantically waving their arms. Unfortunately, Limit Up is a simple-minded Faustian comedy about a young woman order taker, Nancy Allen, who makes a pact with a devil's assistant to get a job as a full-time trader. That comes after her boss, Dean Stockwell, rejects her more traditional approach.
I've always wanted to be a trader in the bean pit, so I thought maybe you could give me some advice on how I could get a break.
Sweetheart, all the runners wish to be traders. You just keep doing what you do the best you can do.
Denitra Vance is cast in the embarrassing role as the devilish figure who offers to help.
Things haven't been going so well for you. Your boss won't promote you no matter what you do, and you feel like your life is falling apart. Well, I'm here to help you put it back together.
Nancy Allen accepts her help and makes a few successful trades based on that inside information, and her success persuades Dean Stockwell to make her an offer.
Sell me 25 contracts. Come on, what do you got to lose?
I can't. They'll all say I'm taking advantage of you, sweetheart.
All right, well, you're chicken. All that big macho talk, your hotshot clients in Tokyo and Moscow. Come on, are you man enough to trade with me or not?
No, 5.5.
Sold.
To call Limit Up superficial would be to state the obvious, but even on its own weak terms, it doesn't work. It's really comedy at a bad TV sitcom level. The whole angle involving the devil is so poorly written that we sit there sighing that a chance for a good film about a strange world is being blown. Thumbs way down for this picture.
Well, I think this certainly makes Dealers look a lot better.
Yes, it does.
This is a really dumb picture, and the notion that you would take a real world like soybean trading and then handle it with such a fast and loose approach. I know they brought in real soybean traders as technical consultants. Did anybody explain to them that this character in this movie, by not placing orders that are placed with her and by trading under other people's names under false pretenses, would probably be in jail now? There's one line in the movie, "We managed to save your badge." And I'm sitting there thinking, they don't even care to play by the rules here. They don't even care about soybean trading. It's just, as you put it, it's a really dumb, predictable, idiotic, thin, disappointing sitcom.
And the whole business with the devilish figure, I mean, you just,
yeah, and then
why
the twist
bother?
at the end, boy, that came as a real surprise.
Terrible.
Yeah. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this show. 2 thumbs down for Bloodhounds of Broadway, celebrity dress-up time in an incomprehensible plot. A split decision, though, on Dealers. I thought the performances were smart and interesting. Gene thought the movie was utterly predictable. Another split decision on Shocker, about a killer who travels by electric current. I thought the movie was a mess. Gene thought it worked. Two very enthusiastic thumbs up for the entertaining and fascinating My Left Foot with its astonishingly good performances. Finally, two thumbs way down for the dumb and pointless Limit Up. And so it's certainly My Left Foot that we found this week to recommend.
Really good, and I enjoyed particularly. I think some people are going to be worried if there's a mutilation or disfigurement in some way, and they're going to just stay away from the picture. Yeah. It was thoroughly entertaining.
If there's ever anyone who was frustrated because they couldn't make it clear to somebody else what they were trying to say, this is like a Rocky for people like that, because this is a person who is going to express himself no matter what the world feels, and he does it.
Yeah, and yet it isn't as fairy tale as Rocky. It's done at a very realistic level.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for this week. Next time we'll be back with a special show called The Best of the 80s, featuring our selections of the 10 best films of this past decade. That's next week. And until then, the balcony is closed.
Snowcaps, Raisinets, and Goobers. 3 big box office hits starring Nestle Milk Chocolate. Moviegoers give them a definite 2 thumbs up. Palmolive dishwashing liquid. Original or lemon lime. Softens hands while you do dishes. Plaque Attack dental rinse. Fights visible buildup. Brightens teeth. Freshens breath. Plaque Attack. Scientifically formulated for total oral hygiene improvement. Johnny Cat is America's #1 premium cat litter. And now with our new drawstring litter box liners, Johnny Cat and a little privacy is all any cat needs.
Helmut Schmidt on Meet the Press.
There's this guy at work. He asked me to ask you, well, he's got this new prescription, right? Mm-hmm. What he wants to know, man, is, can these pills actually make a guy,
You wouldn't happen to have the medication on you, would you? Personal questions, private conversations. At CVS, your pharmacist will talk with you one-to-one.
Thanks.
CVS.
The best of New England. I love the beaches. I love the ocean. And the woods, too. Pretty good for an old man.
The best of New England. Playing in the garden.
Children are missing, personal property lost or stolen. Huge cash rewards offered for their return. Stacy Keats tells you how to join the search on Missing Rewards.
Tonight at 7:30.
America's obsession with looking good, Monday